Good morning and good afternoon. Well, good morning where we are, and good afternoon where others are. And welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday sports special. And on today's program, we're looking at a number of sporting issues, topics, various in itself. We'll try to get what's happening with some of the school sports. And there's table tennis championships on this weekend. Uh, Karaku doing pretty well in football. And as I indicated, the various school sports on netball, um, football. There is basketball to be started soon, and the various cross country events. And then, as early as next month, we'll see some of the secondary schools with the annual athletics championships. We'll also have our views. That's myself and co-host Julian on the anniversary of Centennial Gala, hosted by the Athletics Association and also by the Grenada Football Association. Certainly, we shall this. Let me say good morning to Rudian in Toronto. Good morning to you, Rudian.
Good morning to you, Michael, and pleasant good afternoon to the listeners and the viewers who is in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Certainly, we do know it's lunchtime for them now, so definitely
Uh-huh.
pleasant good day to you guys.
Well, yeah, that's good to know. And quite a bit happening. So, right. So we'll also get an update because I actually had it, but I didn't have. Well, I got some information, but I didn't have the permission to use as is. And I just got while you were speaking the go ahead. So we'll get some updates from the various um, school tournaments taking place.
Yes, yes.
Very comprehensive. Netball, football, what's happening, basketball coming up soon, and things like that. So while we're speaking, I'll try to put things together because it's sort of it came in just bits and pieces, and I wanted the opportunity to put it
Yeah.
together, but because of time. But that's important. Um, what I can tell you, Rodian, is that some of the schools, and I got confirmation from one school so far. That's the Grenada Boys Secondary School. Their annual athletics championship. Well, I saw a posting on social media and I contacted an official to get confirmation as to whether that is bluff, that is blah blah. And it was confirmed that their school, the GBSS Athletics Championship, will be held on December 3rd.
Ooh, okay.
So
Interesting.
in less than a month.
Less than a
In
month.
fact, in
Yeah.
fact, they actually had posted the point standing from the house. The houses are
The
going,
house
and
standing on so far. Yeah.
it appears that they have had a lot of
Events in between.
events
Yeah. Yeah.
because I saw the point standings and so we spoke about that during our briefing yesterday, Rudy, and we were discussing whether or not schools will continue because we knew last year because of
Due to the stadium. Yeah.
last year into this year because
Yeah.
the character games was held
Take
longer,
priority. Yeah.
right, and because of the reconstruction of the stadium, some of the schools decided to have their meets a bit earlier, and whether
Yeah.
or not they like it, whether it was a one-off, whether they
Yeah.
will
Yeah. Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it appears that that school in particular, they decided that hey, listen, it's to our benefit. It gives us enough time to have to shortlist a team and to put
So
and to put the team in
honestly,
preparation.
I was going to ask that same question. Is it beneficial to them having it so early? But I think once they select the team, it gives them what 4 months, 5 months
Yeah,
to
and
really
well,
work with the team, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
and I think I mean, and you as a coach, you'll have an idea in terms of that. In terms of you should have the core, well, especially the sub juniors and the juniors, those lower divisions, right? But in terms of the
Yeah.
senior, that's where most likely you may be affected. The senior, athletes who probably would have left school, etc., etc. So some schools may have their second year, so the athletes
Yeah.
may not be affected as other schools. So the core of your team should be there.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have your meet way down to select it. You could already select your team. So
Yeah.
whether you have it next week or next month, the core of your team is there. What it means, therefore, it gives you that time to continue your preparation. And in addition to that, from what I understand, if there is a possibility of the the school participating in other, you know, championships, we were talking about, for example, the pen
Yeah. Yeah.
of that.
And release and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it means that you'll have your team in training in preparation for that.
Yeah.
Well in advance. So
In advance. Yeah.
I'm just assuming, but I think
Yeah.
I'm understanding the conversation and the thinking of the people behind the scenes of what they have in mind, especially they look at 2025 as a very challenging year for them in terms of trying to regain the championship,
Yes. Yes.
in terms of participating in other sporting events and things like that. So probably they have a plan as to what they want to do. We'll hear from
But there's two things, Michael. I'm pretty sure that the games will be at the national stadium. Do
well, let's
you
say
know
the
if
Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
the Kirani James, yeah. Do you know if the meet is World Athletics under the World Athletics banner?
Which meet you mean?
The GBSS
Well,
the GBSS games.
well, they all listen. Well, first of all the school meets are under the auspices and follow the guidelines of let's say sanctioned by the Grenada Athletics Association, etc. Track and field.
Okay.
Track and field is a governing body. So
Yeah.
therefore, they by virtue of that being sanctioned under the parent body, well, the sporting association, automatically it is right.
And I asked
And
that
that's why.
question.
Mhm.
I asked that question because let's say you have an athlete who run a specific time that will put them on a national team. Sometimes that games like World Juniors or 2025 is when they take the standard and not 2024. So it would be a
Well,
hindrance if an athlete come out and
no,
run.
no.
Yeah,
Remember, there's a window.
yeah,
2025, the window might be from August. It's not necessarily the 1st of January 2025. Qualifying times normally will be, it may start in one year and goes over to the other year. So it might be from the 1st of October or the 1st of September or the 31st of August to the something of June. It's a window. And it will
yeah,
be from one year into the other year. So it's not necessarily the 1st of January. It doesn't necessarily be the 1st of January to the 3rd of August or whatever.
yeah.
The year normally will overlap one year into the other because of how those activities are. Yeah, that's how they normally do it. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Rudy, and today is also um, later on this evening. Kirani James will be conferred with the honorary degree
Yes,
from the
yes, yes.
University of the West
University of
Indies.
the West Indies. Yeah.
In fact, it's scheduled to start around 6 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time. Sorry, Caribbean time, which is about 5 o'clock Eastern
Our time.
Standard Time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so that is very significant and very historic indeed. And also indicated that today is we'll see the table tennis. Yeah, table tennis. I want to get my thought. Yeah, the national championship.
National championship. Yes, I
Yeah,
saw that.
right. National championships today. We have men and women's teams, men and women's singles, boys and girls singles from under 11 to under 19. We have the veteran singles, 55 years and over, and we have the open novices competitions, right? So those who just believe that they could take a little knock and thing. Um, yes. only thing that is missing there, I may have to get from Mr. Ray Roberts exactly where it will be held. It
Where
says,
do we live? Yeah.
yeah, it says, yeah, everywhere except where it's
The
taking place,
location. Yeah.
and the time as well,
Yeah.
Yes, so certainly that is one that we, and it's good to see, that table tennis, you know. Oh, right. So I got the information. It's at 3 o'clock this afternoon at the Public Workers Union building in Tanti. Right. 3 o'clock this afternoon. Well, 2 o'clock our time. So good to see that. Table tennis. The folks as Ray Roberts, Jason Stanislas, Jason Skeet, and all the others. Certainly looking forward to hearing about that. I wish the day would come, Ray and others, when we can be able to see table tennis live. Yeah, it's a nice sport, It's a nice sport,
It is a
and
nice sport.
I
It
wish
is
the
a
day
nice
would
sport.
come.
I played a lot of table tennis, so it's a nice sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish that day. Oh my goodness, somebody! I sure this could be Jason Ski that is telling me he's in retirement. I am hoping it's probably just a little prank this morning, but he's saying that he's in retirement. Okay, I believe. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, in retirement. Retirement of what, Jason? Nah, I don't think that is probably true. Yeah, he's saying he's in retirement. I'm certain you're not in retirement as a spectator. So if you have the time, you can go on. And I mean, I'm encouraging folks, who have the time to go down to the Public Workers Union Center. Sometimes, Rudy, and we get the conversation, we hear the talk that nothing is happening in Grenada. But I'm
There
wondering
is
if
stuff.
if
Yeah.
they're referring to probably a party, as we say, aka a wine and jam or this sort of things like that. Because certainly, right, um, at least every week, barring the weather, okay, and I think
It's a sporting activity happening.
yeah, and I think it's a bit stormy this weekend in Grenada, right?
Yeah, it is
But
ready today. Yeah.
right, there's always something happening somewhere, right? You listen. I recall when back in my days as a sports journalist, where I used to get most of my sporting news from, especially on a weekend, in the countryside. We used to, as we say, make a drive around. And there isn't a time when you go somewhere. Sometimes you may not find something somewhere, but somehow you come across something taking place somewhere. Either a little
Somewhere.
football, a little cricket, or you may come across someone that you have not seen in a long, long time, right? And so sometimes I ask myself when people, nothing is happening, the place is dead. So I ask, well, then it depends on what you have in
Interests.
mind. Yeah, what you're interested in. And mind you, you can never be bored when it comes to watching sports, taking
Watching
on sports.
sports. Never.
Sometimes
Yeah.
just going to the pasture, as you would say, or the park,
And just watching
and just watch
kids run
kids
around.
run and play
Yeah.
and people jog and
Yeah.
things. That in
Yeah.
itself, I think, is refreshing. You know,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Then also, I don't know if you have been following, but we'll probably get some comments from folks regarding the whole fracas with Alzari Joseph on the West Indies team. In fact, he actually has been suspended 2 matches um, as the vice captain of the team.
Good team. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a misunderstanding with the captain and decided to leave the field of play, walk off. And certainly, I know coach Darren Sammy and manager Raw Lewis, our old Raw Lewis, and Raw Lewis in particular, who is very strict in terms of discipline. I know that wouldn't go unpunished, right? Some may believe it
Yeah.
may be a slap on the wrist. I've been reading some of the comments where people are saying, "Oh, this and that," and well, it's when it comes to your country folks and things, you'll expect some people to say those sort of things, right? And comparing this with that and all these sort of things. But listen, there's no on well a team that has these sort of mixed fortunes, a team that is trying to maintain some level of stability, attract young folks, and when you have someone as the vice captain, a senior position, doing something like that, it wasn't a situation where there was a little misunderstanding, well, a little quarrel. Captain and vice captain or players could have a little, quarrel and things like that. But walking off the field of play at the time when it meant that you were just short of, it's not a situation where you could have, put someone on as a substitute.
Someone in a sub. Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't injured or anything like that. So probably he probably could have handled it differently, even if he was upset. You want to go off the field. There's a process in doing that. You can go off the field to get attention for something, and someone can come on, right? But going off the field in that manner at that time, no place for that. But luckily, though, the West Indies won the game, right? They won that game. So I'm very happy on that.
But it's we are in a time now where and it will become a little too soft with our sporting discipline, and sometimes the discipline that we do is not fitting to a lot of the a lot of the situation, right? Things like this, you walk away from a team, you walk away from it, period. In spite of what it is, because then the sport of cricket is more than just playing the game. And in your position, it's literally more than just playing the actual game itself, what happened if they did lose? Then you look at, so I look at it as the two games you get is based on they didn't lose the game. If they did lose the game, it would have been more games, right? So we have to, we have to change that. I think last week I said to you, I noticed out here now that you go to a lot of sporting thing where even if you come 10th, they give you a ribbon to put on. There is no more when you lose. Yeah, if you don't teach this, if you don't teach people that, or teach them kids that there is a winner and there is a loser. If you don't teach that, then they always believe regardless of what they do, they get in something. They're still walking away with something, right?
But are you against it, Rudy?
I am against it. Depends on the situation. I am in the middle, right? Because we're not teaching them win or lose. We're not teaching them. You work hard. That you gain. Sometimes you go to some place where everybody get a medal. Every single person get a medal. So the one person who that win and did well and comfort getting the medal just as everybody else. So then so I look at it in that sense, right? We have to learn to be able to say that this is part of sports. Right. You win some and you lose some. You understand me? So that's really what it is. Especially now, you see the sporting discipline now in the US is money. So a lot of it is about money, and there is this fine prints that most people don't see. You just sign a contract, and then those fine little prints that say, if this happened that you don't read properly, then you could lose your contract. You could lose a $5,000 here. You see it in the NBA players that even if they call the ref name in the press conference, they get fined $25,000. Yeah. They can't say nothing, even when they're on the right side. They can't say nothing. Then you see some coaches say, "I don't care. I'll pay the money," and they'll just say what they have to say because they're frustrated, right? So those little things like that, do make a big difference. Yeah. So I am happy that he not of the team, but I'm surprised it's only 2 games.
Yeah, I sort of surprised too that they did not, in terms of his management. I was saying his management. His agent or manager or whatever, whoever should have, probably be a little more proactive
Yeah.
And it took a while for even his apology and thing like that. So
Yeah.
probably
And it, yeah.
could have mitigated it, you know.
And the thing about it, even stripping him from vice captain now.
Uh,
That's a leadership role, and you walk away from it,
yeah,
in
well,
spite of what
yeah,
the situation
yeah,
is.
yeah.
There's no excuse. No
Yeah,
excuse on that.
I understand the
Yeah.
thinking behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
The
least
leadership role. Yeah.
you will be sending a message, right?
Yeah.
You certainly will be sending a message that that sort of indiscipline, you know, certainly is not acceptable. It's
Not
unacceptable
acceptable.
across.
Yeah.
So whether you are the you know
Whether you're on the right side or not,
yeah the
regardless
vice
if you
captain,
believe that, yeah, and regardless of whatever the situation is, that you were right about it, that the action that you take is not the right action. You could have waited till the game done. You deal with it. Walking away like that, that means you walk away from the team. That means you're no longer a teammate. You no longer want to be a part of the team because you walk away from them in the
mm-hmm.
middle of a game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but you know,
Because what would happen to the next person when the next person do it? What would happen if a player do it? How you could tell a player they're no longer part of the team when you didn't, discipline the vice captain according to and in spite of what the situation is, right? So I think we got to look at those kind of things because he got to be that example. Unfortunately, use some players and make example out of them to say that is unacceptable.
that's true. Well, let's see. um, West Indies appears to be, although some folks may disagree. I don't know. Um, it's a bit, as I say, mixed fortunes. When you think they are moving up, then they are sort of struggling. But
Some
I think
struggling back,
the
yeah.
problem is that, and Rudian and others certainly will agree. West Indies is very much not short of talent. I think when you
Not
look
at
on
all.
paper,
Yeah.
West Indies probably has the best team in terms of the shorter form of the game on paper. The best.
Yeah. Well,
When you look at the sort of talent that's available for
your
both
talent, yeah. Yeah, both
for,
teams. Yeah.
for the T20 and the ODI, the sort
Yeah.
of power hitters, the sort of players, the caliber of players you have.
Yeah.
You have some of the best players in the world.
Well, listen, West
What is
Indies
wrong?
remind me.
What is wrong?
West Indies remind me of the English football team, where on a World Cup, the English team may have the squad,
Mm.
absolute best squad, I think, but they can't win. They can't win. What is the problem? So you come back again is having the best players always win. I guess it's those who wanted more, those who hungry more. You put out more for it, right? So,
Yeah, but the question
but but
is,
but West Indies do have, um, I believe they have the best roster um, of any other country of some of the best players in the world, and
yeah,
they have they, they
according to
have
your
they
name,
have
yeah,
to be able to maybe learn to play together. Maybe that's what it is.
yeah. And but the other thing that affects the team, and a lot of people agree with that, is that when you need your best players together, that's a problem, right?
Yeah,
When you need your best players together,
you don't get it.
always someone is unavailable
Something's up. Yep.
because of, and that's the problem we have when we come up against the other teams. The players from England, Australia, or India, they always make themselves available for
Yeah.
what they call national duty, right? When it comes to West Indies, some of our
You
best
don't.
players at times, they're not available due to personal issues, personal
Personal issue.
reasons, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. Always some
Yeah.
personal thing. And that's the problem. And that is what I'm saying. West Indies need to fix. They need to fix that. Okay? That needs to be fixed because it's really affecting the performance of Team West Indies.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
affecting it.
and it does, and it's like I always use that with Kirani. When the country call on him, he's there. It doesn't matter if to come and leave to come to Grenada and do a speaking engagement, whatever. Whenever you call Kirani, he is there for the country.
Mhm.
Always for the country. And it's the same thing as West Indies. This is like a country. West Indies is like a country within itself for the game that when you call, are you there for your country?
Yeah.
And that's really what it is, right? When the other countries, when they call their players, the players is there for them. In spite of what the situation is, in spite of what they're doing, their players are there.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch on something now, Rudy, and I want you probably I'll give you the opportunity to start off first with your comments and what you think. I will come on and say something. We'll hear from others as well. This year, 2024, significant for two sporting associations in Grenada, and probably two of the biggest sporting associations in Grenada, namely the Grenada Football Association and the Grenada Athletic Association. Why? They're both observing, celebrating, whatever we want to say, their centennial. And well, to me, and I'm just giving a little paraphrase. Centennial is something big, right? It is big. It's a milestone. However, I don't know whether some folks were aware that these two associations have celebrated their milestone. Okay? And I indicated the Grenada Football Association and the Grenada Athletics Association. I pass it over to you, Lydia.
when I heard of that milestone and actually heard it from you as well as you heard it from, wherever you get it from at the same time, and I was quite shocked um, to hear about that. And this is significant. Um, it actually is bigger than the 50th anniversary of Grenada independence, especially for me in this being a part of that legacy that we have. Um, and 100 years is certainly we definitely wouldn't see this again in our lifetime. And some people who is alive today may never get to see that again in their lifetime. Even those who were born yesterday or tomorrow may not never see this again in their lifetime. So certainly that was a disappointment with the Great Athletics Association, and I think it was a big failure in terms of how they handle it, in terms of how they go about it, and how they reach out to certain people. Um, and I think honestly, deeply disappointed in that. Um, yeah, I'm actually disappointed um, beyond measure. I wouldn't expected that. I think we just have, and that's when we talk about having the right people in position. I think that's one of the situations where we had the wrong people who is in charge of this milestone conducting it um, because they didn't get to reach out to the right people for something significant to that or put it out there to the public. I I never, I didn't even know about it. Suddenly you didn't know about it. Nothing was reached out to us, and being part of that legacy, I think it would be nice for us to know about it.
Well, yeah, I want to share my concerns about that as well, since it had to do with, you know, and in my opinion, two major and significant sporting associations in Grenada, right? As we say, the Grenada Football Association, for one, which has, probably millions of dollars in at their disposal or their assets or whatever you want to call it when you look at the building they have and, the entire
Yeah,
program that they carry out. So that's one. And two, the Grenada Athletics Association, which basically has been, you know, the bedrock of, major sporting events for probably the last, what, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay. Once upon a time, it was football, now track and field, and all the because of the Kirani James, phenomenon, all these sort of things, a big following, even though we have always had track and field, intercall and all these sort of things. But what is striking about the Football Association, the major activity that they had sometime earlier this year would have been, I think it's an all-star football game.
Yeah.
Also. And I am saying, as you just said, 100 years is very significant in that most of us would not probably witness or experience another 100 years. And the folks who will probably at the next centennial, probably they have not born as yet.
I haven't born
Right?
yet. Yep.
Yeah. So that's why it's very significant, right? That when you're having these sort of milestones that you plan in advance, you cannot tell me that you did not know probably a year or two ago that next year or in the next 2 years, it will be our 100th anniversary. And therefore, we should probably plan, put a committee in place, and have a series of activities. Because your series of activities should also include a sort of historical perspective of the association and the sport in the country, how it has impact over the period of time. Who are some of the, 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 the founding fathers or whoever you want to call it, right, of the sport of the association? You may know it as an administrator, but what's some of the public? What is the public education? Did you have any like quiz or general knowledge thing asking
Yeah.
or putting out statements regarding did you know such and such? This person was the first administrator or president or general secretary of the association when it was formed. Did you know that we got affiliated to World Athletics or IWF or whatever it was called then in 1924 August 10th 19 these sort of things like that. So right, what is the public knowledge? What is the PR regarding that? So that's what. But Rudian, that we only became aware of that last week during our program.
Yes, we
That the
did.
Grenada Athletics Association had an anniversary gala the day
Gala.
before.
Yeah.
And we only knew that because someone, well, I don't have to say someone, the president of NACA informed me, well, he was on the program. And when I say on the program, he sent the information while the program was on, stating that, hey, you know that the Athletics Association had their gala, last night. He was like, wow, that was news to me, I mean, not that I have to have any special treatment or anything, but I didn't know anything about it. I asked a couple of folks around, and there was hardly anyone who at the time told me that they heard about it or they knew about it, and they just happened to hear when I mentioned it. But interestingly, I asked the question because I can't understand how an association of the Athletics Association will have an event as a centennial, not an award ceremony, an ordinary award ceremony, centennial. And someone as Kirani James, whatever it is not in attendance. Someone like Hazel Regis, not in attendance. And I say that for reasons, except the centennial was about the folks who were there 50 or 60 years ago, right? But I think you cannot have an activity like that and you don't have the presence of some of your what could I say? I'm trying to use some phrases, but as someone as Kirani James who brought, and no disrespect to the Aline Francisque and the Donald Pierre and others before, but who really brought a spotlight to Grenada when it comes to not just track and field, but to sports about a decade ago. So I am saying I would have been planning my activity around Kirani James. I would have done it. Yeah, I would have done it because to me, he carries track and field athletics and to an extent the association. He carries it, and there is no excuse why someone as a Kirani James could not have been at that. There's no excuse. If he could not have been there at that time, I will have it. When will you be available? Such and such and such. Well, then we'll have it probably on that day to accommodate you. Right? That's it. But interestingly, that Mr. Mike Sands, the president of NACA, said that he was only informed about he only got wind of it a few days before. So he hurriedly had to put something together as a message to send. When he was asked for a message, he said, Michael, if I knew about that or the planning or something like that, I would have no reason why I shouldn't be in Grenada. And I know Mr. Mike Sands, he will travel to Grenada. Yeah, there's no if or but about it. He will go to Grenada, So I'm sort of disappointed in terms of that. And I thought that, well, it was probably one of the best kept secrets, if we call it, but, really, really disappointed. Let me see if I get the message from Mr. Mike Sands on his when he made his presentation. Well, he actually sent something to them, and let me see if I can copy that.
Dear executives and members of Grenada Athletic Association, it gives me immense pride and joy to congratulate your organization on the achievement of this remarkable milestone, 100 years of existence devoted to the building, development, and sustainability of our sport. 100 years in the service of track and field athletics in Grenada and of course the Caribbean region, NACAC and World Athletics is worthy of celebration. So on behalf of the entire NACAC Athletics family, I join with World Athletics, our international governing body, in saying how delighted we are in your achievement. During the 100 years, you have produced outstanding athletes who have proudly carried the Grenadian flag to the highest level of international sports community. Kirani James, Anderson Peters, Lyndon Victor, and Alain Francisque. While we have named the foregoing, they are only a part of a very long legacy of Grenadian athletics history, supported by arguably the most athletics-friendly population in the entire NACAC family. Your coaches have also been remarkable, but none more so than homegrown and developed throws coach Paul Phillip, whilst Alain Francisque has made his mark on the international scene while coaching in the USA following his stellar competitive career. The Grenada Whitsuntide Games is an indelible component of the organization's history and has been the first and one of NACAC's major non-school track and field competition in our area. Many athletes at this event have gone on to forever etch their names and achievements in the histories of both your organization and the beautiful Spice Isle of Grenada. In 2000, Grenada became the first country in the OACS to host the prestigious Carifta Games 29th edition, attaining remarkable results. 3 years later, the small Caribbean nation became the first OACS country to host the Central American and Caribbean Senior Athletics Championship. Hurricane Ivan derailed the country's plan to host the Carifta Games in 2004. The country defied the odds and bounced back to host the last year's 51st edition of the Carifta Games at the refurbished Kirani James National Stadium. Your commitment to our sport of athletics is legendary and stands as an example to all of our NACAC athletics family. Of course, none of this would be possible without great leadership and vision of those leaders. And so at this point, I pay homage to the leaders that started the association 100 years ago. And special commendations to Vida, Victor Bruno, Charlie George, Aaron Moses, and Conrad Francis, the current president, for your dedication and commitment for sustaining the organization to this point. We are proud of your very rich history of athletics. Congratulations once more for your achievements of 100 years of outstanding devotion to the development of our beloved sports. I wish you blessings for another 100 years. Congratulations, Grenada Athletic Association.
Rudian? Yeah. So what you thought?
That was very well put together on the last minute. Like I said, it was the last minute for him, but that certainly was well well said, and thank I really thank him for that, because it was heartfelt. It was truly heartfelt.
Even at the last moment, eh?
Yeah, like I said, it's last moment. Fortunately,
Right? Even at the last moment, that he was able to put something together, right? Yeah. Let me get some comments here from some of the comments that came in while I was out there. Okay, here it is. Everyone thinks as public relations as someone talking, and most times younger to comment. Anybody could talk and say that. This is my opinion, is a disrespect to the art of communication. Public relations is about information and relative information and its dissemination. It's about understanding the art of knowing what to say and when. And then we want to believe West Indies is a country. It's not, sorry, but all man Jack look out for himself. And the blame, in my opinion, is 60-40. That's with Alzari Joseph. And that 60% blame comes from walking off the field, from what I can pick up. Those two must have had some running before. Are you speaking about the captain and the
yeah,
vice captain? The captain, in many cases, gives the bowler almost full authority to set his field. If there was a disagreement, then they should have both met for a few seconds and have a conversation, have the right to do and the right thing to do are two different things. And insularity reigns supreme. That's where everybody, all Jack for himself. The English commentators too were very condescending, but in a subtle manner to Joseph. Well, it's expected. The West Indies commentators were just highlighting that he took the wicket. There are external forces that are adamant that West Indies cricket does not get back to the glory days, and they use every opportunity to derail our upward movement every time. Good afternoon, and there are too many selfish people with their own personal access to grind. Those two organizations should have done a lot more. They do not even consider recommendations from people who they believe might be supportive of someone else. They have had nothing to seriously engage, sensitize, educate, and inform the public. And that is a problem, eh?
yeah, I agree
Michael
with that.
Bascom,
Yeah.
get used to small island mentality. Yeah, get used to small island mentality. We large and in charge. As we at it, GFA is having a 100-year centennial celebrations on November 29th. And I can assure you, those here have not made any efforts to gather history for the purpose. Where are the archives? My reason for this comment at the start of the program, Dr. Kirani James is a bright light in the 100 years of track and field in Grenada. Certainly. Yeah. So look at that. GFA is having a centennial celebrations on November 29th. And that's it. That's the thing I was talking about. Where is the
information?
Where's the information? Let's see if we can get a little update from our folks regarding what's taking place with the school sports. Yeah, school sports.
Good night, Mr. Peters, and hope all is well with you. All right, so far we have 6 sets of games to be played on the fixtures before we reach the semi-finals, which is carded to take place on the 20th, 20 of November, and the finals on the 22nd. There are postponed matches to be played, but depending on the results of some of the games during the course of this week, I would not play the games because there will be no bearings in the competition. Right? So far, we have Anglican High School and the Grenville Secondary. They both has not lost a match as yet in both the A and the B division, and they are in the Eastern Zone. While in the Western Zone, Happy Hill Secondary and St. John's Christian Secondary is undefeated in the A division, while Happy Hill Secondary is undefeated in the B division. We had some big scores from the Anglican High School and the Grenville Secondary girls. They would have scored over 100 goals. Anglican High School scored 103 against Westerhall Secondary, and Grenville Secondary would have scored the same 103, and Westerhall Secondary nil. Right, so we would have seen that there were two schools coming out from the Eastern Zone that have scored over 100 goals so far. Games upcoming for this week, the 11th of November, we will see the lights of Anglican High School and Grenville Secondary. And remember, I said that these two teams have not lost a game as yet. So Monday's game would be an important game. So whichever one loses, which means Bishop's College has lost a match against Grenville Secondary. So there would be a school that would be in the same ranking as Bishop's College, right? One of the schools will be in the same ranking by losing one game apiece. And then on Wednesday, please God, Anglican High School and Bishop's College will be playing. So this week coming up, we have some really key and important matches to decide the first and second place in the Eastern Division. So on the 11th of November, we have Anglican High School coming up against Grenville Secondary at the Victoria Park in the both A and B division. St. Joseph's Convent St. Andrews against the Grenada Christian Academy. Then we have St. David's Catholic coming up against St. George's Institute. We have Wesley College coming up against St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary, and Bishop's College against the Westerhall Secondary. So we have games at the Victoria Park, St. Joseph Convent, St. Andrew's Hardcourt, La Sagesse, SAS Hardcourt, and Tantine Court 1. And that is for the 11th of November. On the 12th of November, we are heading over on the western side, and we will see the lights of Happy Hill Secondary against St. Rose Modern Secondary at the Happy Hill Hardcourt, starting time 3 p.m. Boca Secondary coming up against the McDonald College. We will see the lights of the Grenada Seventh-day Adventists against the St. John's Christian Secondary at the Cuthbert Peters Park, and St. Joseph's Convent St. George's against Westmoreland Secondary at Tantine Court 1. On the 13th of November, Wednesday the 13th of November, we have a big match again. The Anglican High School coming up against Bishop's College at Tantine Court 1. And that game will be starting at 2 p.m. Then we have Westerhall Secondary against J.W. Fletcher on Tantine Court 2. We have St. Joseph Convent St. Andrews against SAS at the SAS Hardcourt. Wesley College coming up against Grenville Secondary at the Victoria Park. On the 15th of November, we have Wesley College, against St. David's Catholic at La Sagesse. Bishop's College against the Grenada Christian Academy at Victoria Park. And we have some postponed matches where we will see the light of McDonald College against Happy Hill Secondary. St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's against St. John's Christian Secondary, right? And then on the continues with St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary and the Grenville Secondary. So all these matches will be played on the 15th. Let me go it over. The matches for the 15th, we have Wesley College coming up against St. David's Catholic at Last Jess. Bishop's College against Grenada Christian Academy at Victoria Park. MacDonald College up against Happy Hill Secondary. St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's against St. John's Christian Secondary, and the St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary against the Grenville Secondary. And then we have some matches on the 18th, and after that we will have the semifinals on the 20th and the finals on the 22nd. Which will be both played at the Tantine Netball Court.
So that's a very comprehensive.
It is, what? But I was very confused. I got confused. I wasn't sure if she was speaking about football.
No, that was netball. Netball.
So everything was netball.
Netball. That's why I had. She was the. Not she was.
Okay. Yeah, because I was very.
I know you're hearing the schools being mentioned. Yeah,
no, but that too. And then I like I said in the beginning, I thought it was netball, and then when I heard 101, I said no soccer team score no 100 goals. And then I said so I was kind of yeah.
I saw some of the scrolls. Some folks were posting some of the scrolls, right? And there was one where I think it was either St. Mark's and St. John's or one of the schools up there. And at the time, it was 80-something to 0. You know?
Yeah, they have to have they have to get to a point where you say there is a stop at a certain point.
Really, no. I would say that it may sound humiliating. What we have to instill in those players is that enjoy it. It's all about
most definitely. But Michael, but at the same time, even at a competition, and I'm going to say this, I remember I coached an elementary school soccer team, and we were beating the team 15-0. I'm telling you the honest truth. And the ref came to me and told me to tell my girls stop scoring. He literally told me that because the other team wasn't playing anymore competitive. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying if you're losing 80-0, you're not playing competitive anymore. There is I understand the spirit of the game, but you're not playing competitive anymore. You're just like on the court now, and whatever happened. That's the mindset, right? So it's you have to have something somewhere where you say,
Consider it as probably physical education or something like that. So,
I understand, but if the other team is not physically doing nothing, it is no longer physical education.
Yeah,
but certainly I like that. But I would like something for them, and I really do hope they have somebody's listening who can do that. It would be nice to see this post on social media in terms of have a Facebook page or Instagram page, and you can see the games, you can see the scores, you can see those things. Even going live too. I think that will be. We are in a technology era, and I think that would be something. Would be nice to see, even from out here. We can see it and we can even watch games. Somebody could even run Facebook live. It could be a live thing happening on Facebook. That would be nice to see. So I hope somebody who in charge is listening. And for all the sports in schools, just a social media platform could be really good.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. But that was a call. Well, to be honest with you, we had basketball and we also have football and thing, but time did not allow us to get in all of those things. But very comprehensive updates from the Ministry of Sports. And someone is saying here, thanks to Colin Peters, Connie Belfon, Karen, Maureen, Alexander, we get fantastic updates from the school sports. Also Steve Mahon and Rachel Coney here. Certainly. But we had have quite a bit from Mr. Ferrer, basketball. Is from Mr. Rennie, Jack Rennie. He provided football. Lots of updates in terms of the sporting activities. What I will do after the program, I'll try to collate them and post them on social media, because I think they gave a good wrap of what has happened so far and what to expect. Okay?
And certainly, Michael, what I also like with that, with so much things happening, there is things happening. This is youth development, and there is sport. So people cannot say, "Oh, there is nothing happening in sports." There is things happening. There is a lot of school activities happening. A lot of games happening. You could find time to go and support. You could find time to go and watch. It is not late, like you said. Most of them start at 3 o'clock. It is not like in the morning. 3 o'clock, certainly you can support. So you saying that there is nothing, all the places there's nothing. No, maybe just for you on the weekend, but weekdays there are things happening, and I like to see that. Yeah.
And as you say, it depends on the interest as well. If it's not
the interest,
I mean, and we don't want everyone, and certainly everyone will have an interest in sports, because I have
definitely
already, Rudy, and
who don't like sports.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't like it.
And somebody told me specific. They say I don't like sports.
I said, I met some people like that. Yeah.
Not even to watch on television.
Not even to watch it. Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah. No sports whatever. I mean, I don't know if that was just just saying it like that, but I can't understand if someone's saying that. You want to tell me whether it's the Olympic Games, whether it's World Championships, you don't.
And I've met people who only excited for sports when the Olympics come around, because they watch everything. It doesn't matter what it is, and that's the only time every 4 years they're glued to the TV, watching that only.
And that's understandable, right?
Yeah.
For some people.
Listen, I know people who save up 4 years for World Cup football, and they just gone and they save their money up and they are going for the whole month or how long it is, and that's what it is for them. They are going, So people who just
I attended the 2 last Super Bowl, NFL Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And I've met folks who have only gone to, in some cases, none of the regular
games.
Yeah. And some probably once or twice.
Yeah.
But they're
missing the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. It doesn't matter who's playing.
It doesn't matter who's playing. They don't have any team in the race. But just the Super Bowl. They want
Super Bowl. Especially if it's in a nice city where they're hosting it too. It makes it more attractive to go. But they'll find their way there. Yeah. They'll find their way there.
I've gone to the one in Las Vegas and the one in Phoenix.
Yeah. And the one in Phoenix, The
one coming now will be in New Orleans. I don't know if
in New Orleans,
I hopefully I'm listed.
It's a nice city, right? It's a beautiful. Being in New Orleans is it's a beautiful city.
I've gone to New Orleans and special deployments before and things like that. But I'm talking about the something as the Super Bowl, because there'll be so many activities and all these other things, But see what, folks. It's high noon here in New York and Toronto.
In Toronto,
yeah. And
the sun is shining outside, but you do need a jacket. So
Someone asked what's the latest with the Wagity competition. Well, I haven't seen an update in my email. Normally, I will get an update in my email regarding Wagity football. I don't, I'm not in Grenada, so I can't really, say what's happening in unless I get an update. But I don't know how much the weather would have affected anything for this weekend, because I know
there's a lot of rain,
flooding, flooding and things like that. So, I was sort of taken aback by some of the comments on social media regarding, I still don't understand up to this day that there are folks who don't understand the various rules of organizations. There were a lot of folks who were blaming NADMA. And I was like, NADMA again is not a Met Office. NADMA gets the information, but again, I blame NADMA to an extent because I remember some years ago I told NADMA, leave that up to the Met
Who,
Office.
yeah. Don't be
They are,
involved.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could as much as, and they were putting things out. NADMA is the official source for blah blah blah, and I say change that to the official source for disaster related whatever management, right? Disaster management. The weather thing, leave it to the Met Office because the
To the
Met
Met
Office
Office.
have their job, and they have been doing it brilliantly over the years. I mean,
Brilliantly. Yeah. Yeah.
since
There
I
has
was in
been.
radio back then, you get 3 updates per day,
Yeah.
morning, lunchtime, and evening from the
And we
Met
do.
Office.
Yeah, since as a young man growing up, same thing. Yeah.
And once you're in the media, especially radio or TV, you could always call them to get an update, to
Get an
get
update. Yeah.
clarification,
Yeah.
etc. Right? So I was surprised that people are still pointing fingers at NADMA and saying NADMA didn't say this and say that, when in fact the Met Office had issued bulletins regarding the weather. They issued
Yeah.
bulletins, right, regarding the weather. But hopefully it does not affect the sporting activities for this weekend. Well, the table tennis, no doubt, is indoor.
It's
So,
indoors, which
right.
is good.
At
Yeah.
the same time, though, we have, I should say also, folks, that we have swimmers. We have a contingent of 30-something swimmers in St. Vincent participating in the OECS Championship.
Yeah.
Last year, here the interesting thing about that. So Grenada is going back to see if they can regain the title. The championship ended with Grenada and Antigua as joint champions. The officials did some recalculation and eventually declared Antigua the champion, right? So this year, Grenada is going back and with a vengeance to regain their title and regain it without any controversy, right?
Without anything. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there should be no joint champions, Grenada. It should be straight out Grenada, right? Because
Yes.
it was sort of, hey, yeah, both of them sharing the championships, and then bam, um, they did some sort of mysterious recalculation where they said, okay, Antigua basically won it. And it was heartbroken for the Grenadians, though. But nevertheless, so swimming taking place in St. Vincent, OECS Championship. Again, we say table tennis. And then once all is well, I know the GFA itself has the Premier League. Well, it appears that Paradise seems to be heading towards the championship again.
Dominating. Yeah.
Yeah, all clear. They could afford to lose matches if they want now. They could afford to lose and still win. Still win the overall championship.
The overall championship. Yep.
Yeah, and then as early as Monday, God's willing, and for the rest of the week, we'll have a number of school sporting events, right? So you have a lot of things, folks, that you can look forward to. And also today, if you are a fan of cricket, right now we have the CG tournament is going on, and there's also the West Indies versus England in the first ODI in Barbados.
Barbados, yeah.
Today, yeah, today, right? So I think it's a day-night encounter, if I'm not mistaken. But lots of cricket on. I mean, lots of sporting events on today. So no excuse, especially if you're a sporting fan, right?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Big game in football.
Sorry.
In
I said one day. It's a T20. Sorry.
T20. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 3 o'clock. It's a T20 match.
Yeah.
3 o'clock, which probably must be 4 o'clock because I think I'm looking at my time, right? So it's 4 o'clock, probably Eastern Caribbean time. It's the first T20 international in Barbados. So yeah, because the one day finish already. So so there's for those who can, look on television. So again, no excuse. Lots of activity.
No excuse.
Right?
Certainly, like we said, and for the college football, big game in Dead Valley. Huge game. Let's see what LSE can do. Hazelin, if you're listening, I'll be supporting you today. Okay, I was supporting the LSU today. Certainly, yeah.
So I'm back in New York now because for the past few weeks I've been on the road, right? And things like that. So and out of that, I've been able to not see per se, but a glimpse of
of
that game between
particular game, Alabama and
Alabama and
Georgia.
Georgia. 100,000
Ah,
spectators in that stadium,
this one is
and
going to be more.
and I was able
This
to
one today, I think this game today is going to be more
I
than
was able to
that
get a
stadium.
peek.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
so we were driving. We were in, I think it was in Wisconsin, either Wisconsin or Michigan, um, last weekend, and
Michigan, Michigan.
yeah, we were moving. Oh, you remember
Yeah,
because I have
yeah,
been so much
Michigan.
all
Yeah,
over the place.
yeah, yeah. You
Um,
messaged me. Yeah, it was
yeah,
Michigan. Yeah.
I've been, and we were driving from one place to the other in a convoy, and um, there was a football game. Yeah, Michigan. There was a football game, and
Yeah,
listen,
it was Michigan and Ohio and Oregon.
yeah, right, yeah, it was an afternoon game, right,
Yeah, afternoon
and
game.
there
Yeah.
was a traffic hold up for at least an hour and a half, slow going traffic
Jeez.
because people were going to that game and
To the game.
that exit
Yeah, was
to
the
get to the
exit.
stadium.
Yeah.
And listen, and
Remember,
so
Michigan Stadium is 110 or 120.
so
So
I'm saying
yeah,
that to say too that
Ann
how
Arbor.
these
Yeah.
folks Ann Harbor
Yep.
was in
Yeah.
Ann Harbor, Michigan,
Ann
right?
Arbor. Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ann Harbor with Michigan and Oregon too. Yeah,
And
I
Oregon.
think
Yeah.
it was it might have been a 5 o'clock game or somewhere
I
down
think
the
at
line.
5 o'clock. It could have been 7 o'clock too. I don't know, something like that.
Listen,
Yeah. Yeah.
you talking about 2 o'clock in the afternoon? The
Yep.
traffic to the stadium, right? And
Tailgate. People have to go on tailgate.
we were
Yeah.
not going to the stadium now. We were going
No.
somewhere else, right? But just because of the traffic on that highway going to that stadium there, and then we
Yeah.
get to know that we heard over the radio that hey, it was lamb, So we had to get alternative routes and things because we would have been there probably for 2.5 hours. But it just
Yeah.
shows you how serious those folks take college.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't see
College
that with
sports.
an NFL. You wouldn't see that with an NFL game, eh? But when it
No,
comes
you're
to
not going to see that in NFL sport. I think the two sport I believe that you really see supporters like that is in football and some in English leagues or maybe some Spanish leagues. You see, the support for football like that, for soccer, and then we come to college football. Those are the two major sport I've seen, and in certain schools, not all schools.
Mhm.
Certain schools, you have the Alabama, the Georgia, the LSU, now the Oregon, um, the Penn, those schools, Ohio State, they supporters follow them. They alumni follow them. People follow them wherever they goes, and it's huge. It is just, man, it is just amazing to see. It's amazing to see, but man,
Mhm.
you know, it's not. It's fun. Certainly.
Yeah. Let me just take let's see. I think it's Donna Joseph is saying West Indies cricket needs to treat players in a more holistic way. Every player comes from a different background. West Indies needs to have a place where players can be counseled mentally and physically. That's a part of good working environment. I don't condone disrespect, but I think that whenever the ball is in the bowler's hand, he should be able to set his field with the help of his captain. But I think there's blood between captain and Alzari. But you know, as someone says, looking at Alzari, you always tend to look as if he's upset. He tends to always look that he's upset, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes
and
don't
and,
show
and
a
I,
pleasant side.
I listen. I agree with with this comment because talking about a lot of other sports, they have the people that they can talk to. There's discipline. They have to have somebody who is speak to them about discipline, and that is something that's a key thing. It's one thing you in practice. We seen it in basketball. We see a clip, Draymond Green. You know what he did with Jordan Poole. We see that little clip in there in practice,
No,
right? But when it
but
comes to
Rudy,
the actual game, it's
yeah, but
different.
Rudy,
When you
yeah, but
in the game,
Rudy, at this
yeah,
level, at this level, this professional level,
yeah,
I don't think we should be talking
having
discipline.
Discipline.
talking about discipline. Probably that's through the academy, through the academy and things like that. So
Good coming into it.
at this
Selection and those
level,
type of things.
at this level of personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just my thing about it.
Like I said, it's one thing at a practice, in a training camp. I get it, but not in the actual game itself.
Because you do have those bus up at training camps, eh?
Training
session. Yeah.
There's no listen. The only how we found out about the only how we found out about Green and Jordan Poole in that situation. Somebody had a little video. You know the social media, and it was lit.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes the teams do not allow
no one in there or no phones.
Recordings and all of that at training sessions.
At training sessions,
it gets so intense at times that the guys will have a little bus up and things like that. So, and only how you know about it is if somebody. Said, Rudy, and that it's sort of unfortunate at times when we have these sort of situations, right?
Yeah.
Really unfortunate when we have these sort of situations, and I'm certain that at some point in time we'll hear more about that. I sort of disappointed that that it has to get to that level.
To that level, yeah. To that level.
The time when West Indies have so much of issues and things like that. So, thank you, John. John is asking me how is my mom doing. Well, yes, John, Mr. John Hartley. She's doing fine. The surgery went successful, and lots of pain, but recovery. I probably would have seen on my social media that my mom underwent surgery. So yesterday, it was what should have been probably 4 hours went to as much as probably 8 hours. Well, probably almost 6 hours of surgery and then a few hours.
2 hours of recovery
and things, but lots of pain and that's so I'll probably have a little updates a little later on that. All right, folks. So that's all for this weekend. Hopefully next weekend, as indicated, I will have at least 1 or 2 officials from various schools to give an update about their school sports and probably why, what's the thinking behind having school sports that early.
Certainly. Yeah.
All right, Julian?
Yes, definitely. It was such a good day. Like, again, just recapping on a few things, certainly it was a disappointment, like we said, in not knowing about, the milestone of the centennial. That certainly is a big issue. It's a big deal, and I truly, was disappointing to hear that. The absolute truth as an athlete, and a former athlete as well. Certainly. However, sometimes we have no control over some things, so it's what it is. If we are important to them, And for what we have done, we would have known about it. And I guess to those who are in
That's
charge, we are not important to them. But that's that. Surely there's a lot of school sports happening, guys. Just keep going on, keep supporting, and
yeah.
let us get the youths, knowing that they have the support so they can, continue doing the good thing that they are doing. So
Yeah, and we
until
will
then,
continue.
yeah.
We will continue to play our part by
Yeah,
discussing, having the
sharing,
discussion,
discussing,
and
and
sharing
sharing, and
information. Yeah,
and talking about some things. And I'm pretty sure Michael will say so many things that we have spoken here that have changed.
yeah,
A lot of
totally.
discussion that we had on here had made changes for better in the sport based on our understanding. And then they
Mhm.
just look at things from a different point of view. And I think that's just what it is. It's just looking at things from a different point of view.
Yeah,
This is the era that we're in. This is the time that we're in. We can't be doing stuff the same way and saying, oh, this is Grenada. No. Yes, it's Grenada, but we can also do things differently too
yeah,
and better. So surely other islands doing it. Why can't we?
yeah. That's true.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right,
All
then.
right.
Thank you
That
very
was a
much.
pleasure, man. Yeah.
Okay, then. All the best.
All
Okay,
right.
then. Yeah, that's Rudy and Sylvan in Toronto, my co-host. And folks, I want to wish you all the best, pleasant weekend, and whatever you do, please do it with some level of moderation. Remember, lots happening, including today we have the Kirani James being conferred with the honorary degree, UE. We have table tennis, we have football, we have swimming in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yeah, number of sporting activities. Okay, that's all, folks. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.